Hello and welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. It is Monday, August 30th. Happy Monday, and I hope everyone is well out there today. In the video today, we're going to be discussing the latest HEXO news, closing the Redecan deal. But before we jump in, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel and go grab yourself a little victory beverage. I'm going to do the same as it's a celebratory moment, a little change from the last video that we did on the dilution news. So cheers to the news and the Redecan deal closure. But moving on, so you can see here on the actual Redecan website, they have Redecan is now powered by HEXO brand. And then the link here to this article. HEXO announces closing of Redecan transaction. So this is great news, as we had a lot of people that were just a little bit uneasy. They thought maybe that there was a competing offer and that they may have a chance at losing that potential acquisition, but obviously it's all water under the bridge now. So going over the article, I'll just skim this real quickly and I'll give my thoughts on a few key points. So HEXO is pleased to announce the completion of the previously announced acquisition of Redecan, Canada's largest privately owned licensed producer. At the close, HEXO paid $400 million in cash, which we know they just did a dilution and a raise. Part of that was to fund this component for the cash component of the Redecan deal, but also some was going to US expansion plans, which I'll touch on a little bit later on in this video. They also delivered 69.7 million newly issued common shares of HEXO. So the last time I checked, I think a couple of days ago, we were just over 200 million, so right around the 200 million share count. So now we're sitting at about 270 million, which is basically right there in line with OGI, so Organigram, and only valued at about 600 million compared to peers like Tilray and Canopy, which are valued at 6 and 8 billion, or maybe even 9 billion now for Canopy, respectively. But that is huge, in my opinion, in terms of HEXO potentially going to have #1 market share now in terms of recreational sales. There's quite a discrepancy there in terms of market cap, I would say, because 600 million market cap when they just paid nearly $1 billion for Redecan. I mean, the cash component alone was 400 million cash. So HEXO currently only valued at 600 million. Market cap is just absolutely mind-boggling to me, but let me know in the comments below if you think that HEXO is going to outperform the peers and play catch-up. Like I said, taking in that #1 spot in terms of rec sales. They have #1 category position in their hash, in their cannabis beverages. They also have pre-rolls and flour. So this is an exciting day for HEXO. Redecan employees, investors, consumers, and stakeholders, said HEXO CEO, co-founder Sebastien St. Louis. The completion of this transaction is aligned with our corporate growth strategy and will further strengthen our position as a leader in the Canadian MJ industry, bolstering the combined company as we look towards becoming. And I love how they start to change their mission and their goal. And you can see here that it's no longer to be a #1 in Canada or top 3 in Canada. It's now shifted to a global mindset. So they have the aspirations and look forward to becoming a top 3 global MJ products company and continue on the path towards positive earnings per share. So in connection with closing the transaction, HEXO entered into an investor rights agreement with certain Redecan sellers to provide a certain customary governance rights. So this just basically goes on to say that later on it'll be filed on SEDAR. But furthermore, pursuant to the share purchase agreement entered in connection with the transaction, resale of consideration shares by Redecan sellers will be restricted to a 24-month hold period, during which, subject to certain exceptions, each Redecan sellers will be entitled to sell a maximum of 1/24 of the initial amount of such Redecan sellers consideration shares issued under the transaction. The Redecan sellers also have to agree to be bound by customary standstill provisions for an 18-month period. So that's good to see, just to protect the share price there for shareholders. Also, pursuant to the transaction in terms of investor rights agreements, Peter James Montour joins the HEXO board of directors, which also includes Emilio Imbriglio, Vincent Chiara, Jason Ewert, Adam Myron, which is the co-founder of HEXO, and Michael Munzar, Sebastien St. Louis, and Rosemary Gage. Will Montour will act as a non-voting observer on the board of directors until his election to the board in accordance with the investor rights agreement. Just wanted to do a little digging on Redecan and where they come from and just let everybody know. So this was posted by Turtle Island News, and it's pretty funny. They spelled HEXCO Corp. So they spelled HEXO wrong, and they call it HEXCO, and they did it a couple of times. So I don't think it was just a typo, but anyways, I just wanted to read this to everybody. So the family behind Grand River Enterprise Empire. So this is the family of Will and Pete Montour. So I just wanted to do a little bit of, I found this interesting and just give you an idea of where this is potentially heading. So the family behind the Grand River Enterprise Empire may be one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest, Indigenous families in Canada after HEXO Corp announced it's buying out Redecan Farm. Niagara's region's Redecan Farm was founded by Pete Montour, Will Montour, the grandsons of late Pete Montour, and Richard Redecan. So that's where Redecan gets their name from, is from Richard, their partner, Richard Redecan. He goes by Rick, but Redecan, so you can understand where the name Redecan came from. Joining the HEXO team will leverage our combined strengths and accelerate our growth within Canada and international, added Redecan co-founder Pete Montour. We look forward to building a global leading organization together. HEXO Corp moved last week to become one of the top 3 players in Canada's legal MJ industry by buying out privately held MJ producer Redecan Farm. And the deal is almost $1 billion, 1 billion big ones. So I went and looked this up as well. Grand River Enterprises is a privately owned cigarette manufacturer and distributor located on the Six Nations of Grand River Reserve in the province of Ontario. It sells cigarettes with brand names Sago, Putters, DK's, Ménage, Oakdale, and Golden Leaf in Canada, abroad as well in the United States. Native owned and fully licensed by the federal government and as a tobacco grower. We're going to look at the charts here in just a second and what to expect in the days and weeks ahead, but I went on YouTube, found an interview here with the co-founders, Will and Pete. So Will being in the middle and Pete being on the left here, so you can see, put a face to the name. And wanted to mention as well that Redecan's Reddies on the Alberta MJ website, you can buy the Shishkaberry now for $10.99, which is absolutely mind-boggling. That was on sale the other day, but it looks like that price is now set in stone, and that's just regular price. And it's no wonder that this is number one. They're number one in pre-roll and the number one pre-roll on the market. It's an absolute phenomenal product in my opinion. And it must only cost them about $4 or $5 to make, which is just absolute phenomenal margins. We know that this is likely going to be coming to select states starting as early as January 2022. And that will be through a special purpose vehicle whereby none of that, the sales and profit of that will be leaving state lines. So we know that HEXO is looking at expanding into California, and they have plans to enter into that California market, and they will bring this product to that market along with potential for gel caps as well. So keep an eye out for that potential news, but absolute phenomenal product. Absolutely love the Reddies. Strongly encourage you to check those out. Perfectly rolled cigarette doobies. Also on BNN Bloomberg for the last few days, notice that HEXO Corp has been leading the charts in terms of total volume, and we've been seeing massive amounts of volume on a daily basis. We had the biggest volume day ever here back on that dilution news and on August 20th. And that was the most volume in a single day in company history. So tons of liquidity in the stock at the moment. We know that they just migrated from the NYSE to the NASDAQ, joining the rest of the peers. So I'm going to go over the charts here and what I'm watching for on the chart and a couple of notes. So I already mentioned the massive volume, largest single day volume recorded ever. And we did touch down on weekly oversold recently. So we are due for a weekly bounce, and we've been pulling back now for about 12, 13 weeks in a row. And we've now pulled back over 40% since we had the death cross on HEXO, which was all the way back here in the end of July. So we've now pulled back 40% from the time that death cross occurred. So just questioning how much more downside we're really going to see after having touched down on weekly oversold. And like I said, now pulling back on the weekly time frame. Since we hit that 755 high, we've now been pulling back on the weekly time frame for 14 weeks in a row. So we're going to be watching for a high of the previous weekly candle, and that is 270. So if we can change the daily trend, just bringing up the daily chart here. So what I'm watching for in terms of the chart, watching for a potential daily trend change. So we have the low here at 229, which is the low of the pullback, 52-week low. We have the high of the bounce at 270. Here we are entering daily consolidation, looking for a higher low compared to 229. We have the low here at 233, and this is in US dollars. All prices are mentioned in US dollars as we were in the NASDAQ. And I track where the volume is. So that is why I'm tracking the NASDAQ chart. But like I said, if we can form that higher low here and then break 270 resistance, that's going to confirm a daily uptrend with a low, high, higher low, and higher high. So if we can get above 270 resistance, that's going to confirm that daily uptrend. The weekly bounce will be underway. We'll have broken the previous high of the weekly candle, and we'll be looking for a gap fill here at 316 USD. So if you're a bit more conservative, you're looking for a daily uptrend to confirm. Maybe you're going to enter on a stop on a break of 270 with a stop below the low here at 233 or the low at 229. Maybe you're a bit more aggressive and you're going to enter now with a stop below the low here at 229 and look for a potential daily trend change and weekly bounce. We know we're overdue. Hitting down on weekly oversold. So even if you didn't really know a whole lot about charts and whatnot, I mean, obviously you don't want to catch falling knives, but 14 weeks of pullback, start to question when we're going to see a significant bounce. I do think that we're due for a 10, 20, 30 double-digit percentage bounce. So like I said, if you're looking for an entry now, great opportunity in my opinion with a stop below the low there at 229. Now's not the time to go short in my opinion. If you're looking to go short, maybe you look to top fish there, 270 resistance. So, and then set your stop just above EMA 12 here on the daily time frame. You can see we've been rejected from EMA 12, that yellow line, since all the way back here on the second week, going into the second week of June. So it's been rejecting now for a couple of months, and that would be huge if we were to get over and close a daily candle over EMA 12. Also watching for a monthly candle close roughly around the $3 USD area. You can see this white line is the monthly uptrend support line. So we'll want to see it close as close to $3 USD as possible and get a monthly candle lower wick there to save that monthly candle. But right now, pretty bearish. Also, the 4-hour candle close over EMA 26 has been rejecting it since May. So that will be very notable if we can get over the 4-hour time frame. If we can get over the 4-hour EMA 26, you can see here we've been rejecting all the way back since the end of May and beginning of June. So since then, we have yet to close a 4-hour candle above EMA 26. So again, if you're a bit more conservative, maybe you enter on a candle close above that white line, that EMA 26 that I just mentioned. Also, CPG partner news potential for September. Let me know in the comments below. I think that it's likely going to be Mandela's. We know that they've been experimenting with CBD and snacks. If not, my runner-up is Kellogg's. So I do think that now that Redecan is out of the way, we know that the 48 North deal is slated to close on September 1st here in a couple of days. So once that's out of the way, Redecan's now closed, then I think that opens the way for a potential news release for the new CPG partner sometime in September. And also had a inside connection through the marketing department. Not able to say any names, but essentially they said that I was excited. I told them I was excited about the current products that they have, really impressed, especially with the OS Click and a few other products. And he said, if you're impressed about, and he was the lead of one of the product innovators at HEXO. He said, if you're impressed with the products that we have now, wait until you see what's coming. And her little birdie told me that we could potentially see a new product line sometime in November. So little droplets of a couple nuggets there for you, droplets of information that we could potentially see. Again, I don't know. That's just some rumors that I'm hearing through the grapevine, but we'll see if there's any truth to that. But new product line would line up well in November after the new CPG partner news, because we know that the new CPG partner is in food, so it's likely going to be some type of functional food. And we know that they're going to be piloting over the next couple of months in Quebec. And so if it's piloting in Quebec, then potentially over the next month, maybe they release the actual news of the CPG partner, and then in November we get a product line. So that would be pretty cool, and see some additional products listed into the HEXO brand and portfolio. Also watching out for trust expansion into new states. So we know that they used a potential of that cash component from the dilution news that just came out for a potential expansion into the states. So I think that could have a little bit of an underlying meaning, which could be entering into a new state. We know that they just expanded from Denver to certain areas of Colorado to all over Colorado. I think they said the SSL said that they're in about 80% of liquor stores now in the state of Colorado. So that means that insinuates to me that we could potentially see another state opening up soon, and really cool. I know that the parent company there of Redecan, the tobacco company, had ties to New York and operations in New York. So it'd be really cool if we saw New York potential for the Redecan Reddies, and then maybe even enter trust expansion and trust entering into the New York state as well, which would be huge news in my opinion. But I do think that the market is completely overlooking the fact that HEXO is going to be #1 in terms of rec sales. I know I've been doing a lot of videos. Trust me, I'm not pumping the stock. I have close to 20,000 shares in HEXO. I am fully invested. And generally, people do not pump when a stock is at a 52-week low. I certainly want it to go up a lot more from here. I'm not planning on selling anytime soon. My long-term positions, I will not sell HEXO until we hit at least a new all-time high. And the all-time high on the USD chart is $33.60. Like I said, not planning on selling anytime soon. I know a lot of people say that some of these things sound pumpy and whatnot, but I'm literally just screaming from the rooftops at the opportunity that is presenting itself in front of us now that may not be here forever. Just like there was an opportunity with Tesla. Everybody thought they were going to go bankrupt. Even Tesla thought they were going to go bankrupt. But you know, the charts were telling us otherwise. And when we see these weekly uptrends and these monthly uptrends being confirmed, that's when we can start to establish long-term positions. And we don't want to be buying peak euphoria, right? We don't want to be buying up here like in February at $11 when we were getting overextended, right? So we want to be buying, again, this isn't financial advice, do your own research, this is for entertainment purposes only, but you want to be buying, in my opinion, you want to be buying fear when nobody's talking about the market and when everybody's very fearful. That's when opportunity presents itself. And for me, this is where I wanted to be buying. I was selling into strength here into the highs in February and in January, and now I've been accumulating for the last couple of months. And personally, just sold a real estate property, and I'll be really stoked if the share price remains low here coming on the beginning part of October, because I will certainly be looking to park some cash, and I think that HEXO is going to really provide some astronomical gains over the next couple of years. Really looking forward to the future. So let me know in the comments below, do you think that we are nearing a bottom? Do you think that we could see the new CPG partner news at some point in September? Let me know what your potential guess is, who you could see being the new potential CPG partner. I always love hearing from you. Going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you on the next video.